I want to thank you both for taking the time out to chat all things Held. I guess we should probably start at at the beginning with the idea, but I know that the film came about in a pretty strange way. I think you basically found your writer and your lead literally walking down the street. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. I was just out in the front yard and saw some new people, and it's a kind of a newer neighborhood, so I just wanted to say hi and be a good neighbor, and I introduced myself to Jill Awbrey, who stars in it and wrote Held, and she said, I'm an actress from living in LA, but I'm just visiting my sister here in Central California where we are, and
who happens to live across the street from us, her sister.
And I said, oh, you're an actress, that's cool. And I write, direct, and produce films also, and I said, hey, I'd love to see anything that you've got. And she said, I did a short film, I directed it and acted in it, and I said, let's take a look. I looked at it, and we enjoyed it and thought she did a great job, and said, hey, let's collaborate on something. So for the next 8 months or so, she had the script idea, she wrote it, we developed it with her into what it is now, and then decided, let's just go out and shoot this thing independent of our studio connections and whatnot. And
it was a small enough production that we were able to just kind of get the gang together and go execute it. Like there wasn't a lot of red tape or things standing in our way. So once the script was at a point that we all liked, we went for it. So it was, it's a pretty interesting story.
Yeah.
Like how it came about.
Okay, so you were all sort of involved quite early on from at the early stages of the concept. But what was it about the idea that made you guys so excited to direct it?
You know what? It's interesting. I think a lot of it has to do with Jill's voice and on the subject matter. At the time there was a lot of residual Harvey Weinstein stuff in the industry. Jill had her own experiences to draw from, and other support groups and friends that have had a lot of input in that story, and she really wanted to express that in some way. And for us, it was interesting because we felt like we were in a unique spot where people had helped us with our original movie, The Gallows, that kind of broke us into the business. And we feel like we want to pay it forward and also address issues that are meaningful to many folks that might otherwise feel marginalized by our industry. They don't always get, new people to do leading roles in big movies, and so this was a chance for her to be in something that she might not have otherwise had the chance to be in if it was a traditional industry situation.
It was also cool because as filmmakers, we're always looking to grow and do new things. And this was definitely something new and different for us, having done supernatural horror and with younger, leads. And so this was, different cast, different group of people, different subject matter, and altogether a different type of film, being much more of a psychological thriller, more Hitchcockian even. And so it was interesting to us. We wanted to try to explore it. And again, the opportunity presented itself. So it just worked out, which was cool.
Yes, where once films were sort of the product of one voice, over the last couple of decades, it does seem to be more of a shift towards, directing doers like yourself. How do you think the benefits are of having two minds on behind the camera?
Well, I would say most people will tell you that it's like being bipolar. He said this and you said that. What do I do? Right? But no, I feel like the benefit of that between the two of us is that our different perspectives and minds can really help shape the best outcome for what we're trying to do. We keep each other in check.
Yeah. Also, it's very overwhelming directing anything just in general. So when one of us is kind of in that, right at the monitor, really talking to a lot of the crew, the other one of us can be kind of back a step, observing everything, a little bit less connected at the moment, and really kind of take stock of things that might be missed.
Yeah, in the micro,
yeah,
you step back to the macro, you can kind of see other things, and then you can converse and kind of really get a better picture overall.
It's really a great backup, kind of, I don't know, and it's evolved over time. Like we get better and better at it, and it's constant communication, like any aspect of filmmaking. But
don't get us wrong, there's days, I think there were like 2 days on The Gallows Act 2 where either one of us totally lost our minds and the other
Yeah.
one was able to keep things together.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh, that day got so crazy.
There is
and
that
so
too.
tricky.
Just to have a support system.
Yeah, that happens too every once in a while.
But it in general and frequently it works out really well. Yeah, and it's cool. I don't think we could, at this point, I don't think we could do it any other way.
Yeah, we're
You know?
like peas and carrots, as Forrest would say to
Yeah.
Jenny, right? Or about,
Yeah.
like peas and carrots.
Yeah, and I guess obviously, you know, some people say that they're a technical director and some people say that they're an actor's director. And obviously, Travis, you act, so I guess you both you cover off both types of director under the one umbrella.
That's
really
right.
very true. And we both come at it from different ways. Travis is actually really great with actors. I'm glad you brought it up. And again, specifically, I'd say you really shine in getting actors to go to places that they didn't know they could get to, and kind of finding those sweet spots of like, you know, a tender, you know, emotion here or a deeper thought here. And where I'm usually looking at a lot more of the technical aspects in terms of the edit, the shots, getting things checked off and how things will piece together.
Yeah.
And the setting forms a massive part of the story in Held. And it subverts one of the expected, you know, cabin in the woods trope. Where did you guys, you know, find this location?
Well, it's fun because where we are, again, we're in Central California, in the Fresno area of California, which is far enough away from LA that it's not jaded, you know, and there's not everyone in every neighborhood looking to get a piece of whatever's going on. And we have some really great connections with people in this city and in this county. One of them happens to be a real estate guy, and we were saying, hey, we're looking for something modern. We want kind of a futuristic vintage for this feel. You know, we're in the future, but, you know, hearkening back to thoughts of yesteryear, you know. And we went out to look at these great mid-century modern homes, and we didn't find anything that was just right.
A lot of cool ones, but nothing that kind of checked every box for the needs of the script.
And then he said, well, you know, I live in a mid-century modern home. Like, why don't you check my place out? I could take one for the team. And so we went and saw it, and we thought, this is beautiful. It's very clean, and the angles are there, and it's very modern and sophisticated looking. It's great.
It had a lot of the features that we wanted in the script, you know, already, and with a little bit. And him and his wife went out of their way to kind of make some improvements and add some things, bells and whistles.
He cleaned it up, and then he moved his family out for a month, and then we took over, and
so it really worked out well. And then of course we had our camera team and our lighting team that were able to add different lighting gags and things to really make the house come alive
and feel like that it's its own, you know, character within the film. That was great.
But a lot of what you see in the film was already there. It worked out really well.
Yeah, and that collaborative effort that we have with our team here in this area and the city itself has been really great for us, and we feel like you're going to see a lot more stuff coming from us because of that.
Yeah, it's funny that you sort of, you know, mentioned the, you know, the futuristic vintage. That my next question is, you know, there's this fusion of old and new scattered throughout. You know, you've got this quite high-tech house with a rotary phone installed, and, you know, more traditional clothing's worn by the characters. It's almost like, you know, everything within the film is in conflict with one another, which I guess represents nicely some of the elements of the story. You know, how much fun did you sort of have, you know, playing with these elements of the mise en scène?
It was a lot of fun, and our production designer Max Martinez did a great job finding. He didn't want to go too far with it. He wanted those little things peppered throughout the set and throughout the film and different scenes, and in a rewatch too, you can kind of start to pick out even more little details. But it was really cool, and it's funny because initially when we were writing the script, Jill, I think, had in mind more of a traditional kind of cabin in the woods, a cottage, something very, you know, old and vintagey just to its core. And we were like, nah, I think it'd be cool to lean more into this kind of sci-fi aspect, but still incorporate some of these themes from yesteryear, as Travis put it, because of the themes that obviously play out in the film, and kind of these traditional values that are, you know, hold near and dear to the ultimate sort of baddies in the film. But it was fun. It was a really fun mix, and trying to kind of pepper both of them throughout.
It's interesting too, because there's also the cautionary tale of, if you forget your history, you're doomed to repeat it, and if we're not careful, if we're not aware that we're going a certain way forward, we might end up realizing that we've landed back. I mean, you could say that for some films and some film categories. It's like, oh, we're back here again.
Yeah.
Right? It's like as we improve, we want to get better and better and not forget the pitfalls of the past. So for us, it was neat to be like, hey, we've been there, and let's not use future tech to lead us right back to that, where we could be enslaving ourselves or becoming beholden to old thoughts and old ways of thinking that were damaging to people or certain groups. Let's not repeat the cycle, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, without giving away, too many spoilers, I think the most terrifying aspect of the film is that, you believe that this sort of thing could happen tangibly.
Right.
Was that something that you wanted to play on? Because I guess there would have been the desire to go really silly, but you guys sort of rein it back in and keep it in the realm of possibility.
There were actually multiple times throughout filming and editing and everything that Travis said, like, I wonder if an actual couple would do something like this.
Well, I did the more, I don't know if this is revealing, but the more like kinky side of me was like, I bet there's a whole market for this out there.
Yeah.
Like haunted houses where
That's
people
true.
want to go and they'll sign waivers so they can be touched and pushed around. I've seen some of those extreme haunted houses.
It's like that for marriage.
Yeah, that for marriage. And it's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe there could be a market for something like that out there.
It seems like it's just one of those things that's crazy enough to be true, So it did definitely wanted to try to make it feel like as close to something that could exist as possible.
And there's definitely, obviously, people feeling trapped in relationships and people feeling controlled. That does happen in situations where you just, you think everything's fine, but you don't realize that someone feels like they're manipulated. It could be a husband, it could be a wife, it could be a third party that's manipulating both. I mean, it's interesting. And then I think a lot of us have felt that at one point in our lives or another, whether it's a boss or a coworker or someone at school who's manipulating or saying things, on social media that's not true, or like, it's very interesting to be manipulated and feel like you don't have control of your own life. And that's something that goes on regardless of whether it's organized or
not. Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. And Chris, if I think I've done my research correct, I think you had an interest in bugs and amphibians and reptiles and things.
Oh yes, I do.
Does that mean that you guys have got a creature feature in the works for the future at some point?
We've actually been working on this. We've been working on a monster movie idea with Bart Johnson, one of the stars of Held, actually, and so yeah, that's definitely swirled around in our minds. It's something that is interesting, and obviously there's a market for those types of movies. Yeah. Travis and I both, interestingly, have always had an interest in creepy crawlies, and both of us, even before we were filmmakers, at one point in our lives were like, I'm going to be an entomologist, or
right.
you know, that was an interest of ours. So it's weird. We still have a lot of strange pets. Travis's kids love.
My daughter has 2 pet cockroaches
and rats,
and my kids have pet rats, a snake. Chris has a few snakes.
Yeah.
Chickens.
We had a lot of weird stuff.
It's wild, but all weird pets. Oh, a gecko. We got a gecko in here that my daughter was given for her birthday.
We had to find something to keep ourselves entertained during the pandemic. So
yeah,
pets were one of those ways.
Finishing this movie and pets.
Yeah.
So obviously, the creature feature things may be on the back burner, but what is the next project? Have you guys got that lined up yet?
Well, our company, Tremendum Pictures, has been building a slate of films, and we've got several that are in the horror genre, but also some that are more action adventure, including a couple of television series or streaming series.
Excited to get our feet into TV.
Yeah. But we just filmed a pilot that's going out right now to find the right home, and it's an action comedy that's really fun, and we hope that gets some traction. But we got a lot planned. It's just sometimes things take time.
All the pieces have to line up on every project all the time. So Getting anything done is a miracle, honestly.
Unless we got a financier to fund our slate, we could just go get it done. We are very nimble and we're very quick. We've found that when we're dealing with industry stuff, it's like, oh, well, I'll get back to you. Let me check on this. And 2 months will go by and it's like, oh yeah, I was going to do that. And
which is why Held went honestly so quickly. For most indie films, I mean, it can be, 5-6 years a mission to get a movie made. But
I think from inception to
release,
domestic release, from US release, was less than 2 years.
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
Even now, less than 2.5 years for this, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I wish you best of luck with all your future endeavors, and thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Likewise.
Yes. Maybe we'll get to meet in an actual FrightFest environment.
I know, we've so wanted to go. We were like, oh, this is going to be awesome. We want to go to this. And then they told us like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's over.
Where
are you exactly?
I'm about an hour out of London. So
okay.
Yeah, it was weird doing, because I've got a 3-year-old. So normally FrightFest is my it's mummy's holiday. I go and stay in a hotel in London to, to have some me time and cover the festival. And that was a sad year when I had to do FrightFest from like the bedroom because she couldn't see what I was watching. So it was a strange one, I think, for all involved. But we think we're making our way out of it all now. So maybe one day in the future. But yes, I will let you guys get on with the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.